The Tennessee Titans unquestioned starter at quarterback, Cam Ward, has been good through the early portions of training camp. We're going to talk about his first impressions coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, my NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He's the director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with those LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers, guys. We are talking Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and an unsung starter out of the fourth round of the 2025 NFL Draft, Dont'e Thornton Jr. for the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to talk about all of that, guys. Cam Ward, Keith, the unquestioned starter for Tennessee, right?
Yep.
They typically try to do he's got to earn it against the guy that's here, and that was Will Levis, and Will Levis ended up having a weird, like a nasty little shoulder
collarbone or
something like that.
Cuff, something like that.
Yeah, it might have been the collarbone because I remember seeing the picture of something poking up in the shoulder, and I was like, yeah, that can't play with that. So he's getting surgery, basically out for the year. So it's the Cam Ward show, and throughout camp up until probably I think like 2 days ago, he had a little bit of a rough day. He threw some picks. He was a little bit late on some throws, stuff like that. But for the most part through camp, he's been lighting it up for the Tennessee Titans. And this is a team that doesn't have the just well-established pass-catching group, right? Like, it's Calvin Ridley, and then you're, Tyler Lockett, who's in, year 13, 14, whatever it is, to be the slot. You got Xavier Restrepo as an undrafted free agent. Shamir DK and Elik Ayoman are both in the fourth round. With Chigo Okonkwo at tight end, they drafted Gunnar Helm in I think they had 3 4th-round picks, and they went 3 straight pass catchers, and it was like Elik, DK, and Gunnar Helm. So they don't have a whole lot of talent, proven talent outside of Calvin Ridley, but that connection between Cam Ward and Calvin Ridley has been pretty darn good, throughout training camp so far. We're only closing on the end of 2 weeks. What are the expectations for Cam as we get ready? Because we got the Hall of Fame game tonight, actually, everything like that. And then it's football from here all the way until February, Keith.
Hey, doesn't it feel good, right?
It feels
good, DP. These past couple of weeks, listen, Netflix has been getting the best of me, right? Because not been a lot of content. Netflix has been getting the best of me. But football is finally back. It is back in the fold. Cam Ward conversation. What to expect? Expect some ups and downs. Expect some flashes. Expect to see him work through adversity, because getting to observe Cam in different elements, right? Watching different interviews and his mannerisms and just different, pieces of media, seems like a guy that is ready for the moment, right? As far as dealing with adversity and how to respond and how to figure it out. So he's a rookie, right? He's a rookie playing on a team that was picking number one overall this past draft, which means that they weren't that good. Now, on the flip side of that, DP, is that you outlined it, how many picks they've had and how they've overhauled this roster some. And so he has options. So that's why I'm not expecting all bad, DP, because there is some talent around him. So I'm expecting some ups and downs overall, but I'm expecting to see some really good flashes. I think this will be fun, because I wonder, and when we had the Cam Ward synopsis, right, or evaluation, dissertation, however you want to put it, and we talked about how similar he was to Caleb Williams, right, and just kind of some of their play style. And so I wonder if we're going to see some of that, right? And it'll be interesting to see him work through getting the football out quick, right? Boom, 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 boom. Because they, like, both of those guys, they become magicians in the backfield, right? And they create things, and they actually, part of their superpower is holding on to the football and letting things kind of unfold. So I think it's gonna be fun. Like, I'm excited to see what he does, and I'm actually more excited than what I thought I would be. probably pre-draft, right? Like, and I
Yeah.
guess because you think Cam Ward, Tennessee Titans, like, all right, cool, whatever. But
Yeah.
it's like I'm excited to see what this young man can do.
Yeah, and I think you want to bank on, because I think they got like Van Jefferson, like he's projected to start at X. But talking to our guy, Teron Davenport
Mhm.
throughout OTAs and stuff, he was telling me, he said, man, like Eli Gallo-Man has been attached to the hip of Calvin Ridley. Calvin teaching them the route running aspect, the process, different things, like being a tutor and a mentor to him. And he's like, man, he's the guy that I expected to take over that X receiver role at some point. If it's not to start the season, he thinks it'll be sometime, there's a chance for it to be sometime during the season. You know what I mean? So you're banking on these young guys to develop with your young quarterback, and that it's a steady development. And for me, I'm like, yeah, having a vet like like a Van Jefferson out there with Ridley, with Lockett, it sounds good on paper. For me, it's like, okay, is Van an actual X? Like, is he going to be a stretch the field? That's never really been his game. It's been more route running, short to intermediate space creation, right? So for me, I'm like, I would rather get Eli Gallo-Man out there with Ward and let those guys go through the bumps and bruises together and really develop that chemistry, because you're going to need somebody to take away to take advantage of the one-on-ones, right? Like, because we know, like, once Ridley gets going, him and Cam Ward starts getting that connection going early in games, they're going to try to double him. They're going to try to take him away, force Cam off of that read, and it's like, okay, well, who's the next guy? You're going to have Tyler Lockett, but I hope you can get Eli Gallo-Man in there as well. Then I'm with you. I'm excited to see what this offense looks like with Cam, because I think at first, when we saw that Tennessee had the first overall pick, I remember coming on here, I was like, I think Shedeur might be a better fit because of that whole Joe Burrow style stuff like that. But then when you watch Cam, you're like, well, Cam lives in empty. Cam lives in shotgun. He dissects and works well with spread out weapons. Very similar to how Joe, and even when they had Jake Browning in there and stuff like that, where we looked at Will Levis last year, like, yeah, this probably is not the right fit for you, man. Like, this is not the offense where you can't push the ball 30 yards down the field every single throw. You got to take some of those short to intermediate stuff. And I think seeing some of the throws Cam has made outside of the day he struggled about 2 days ago, he's made some ridiculous throws. Not just the pro, what they call the Zach Wilson pro day throw, rolling to his left, flicks it back right, and it just perfect arc to Calvin Ridley going back cross field. But you see him in the pocket and him zip a pass on the corner route against like maybe cover 2 and hits that honey hole. And it's just like, yo, like it takes arm talent to hit that throw. Those type of throws, you got to have the arm to be able to do so. And Cam has it. So I'm excited to see, of course, you're going to, like you said, the ups and downs going to be there, because he said it himself, I'm a gunslinger. He knows that about himself, right? It gets him in trouble at times. And that's what you're going to have to deal with. Josh Allen had to deal with that when he came in the league. Brett Favre leads the NFL history of interceptions. Like, certain guys, they just deal with it. It's arm arrogance. You know what I mean? I watched Michael Penix tape over the summer, and I'm like, there's some throws for the Falcons. I'm like, Penix, that was ballsy, brother. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, that was not a good read, but he had the arm to fit it there. You're going to have to deal with some of that with Cam as well, because it's going to be great throws, and it might be some turnover-worthy plays that's going to be mixed in there.
Yeah. And you know why? I think the other reason I'm interested in Cam Ward is, look at his collegiate career, DP. Obviously, it's been documented, obviously, the rise from Incarnate Word to Washington State, right? And we had these conversations over the past few years at the Draft Network, and we talked about him, right? Like, it was like, oh man, start off really fast the first 5 games. We like, hey, this could be a first round pick, and then it just tailors off, right? Yeah. And that was I think 2 years at Washington State, I believe, and then follow up with the Miami year, and it was a complete year, right? And so now, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see which version of Cam Ward are we going to get throughout the duration of the season, right? Because the argument could be made, hey, Cam just got exponentially better at Miami, or did Miami have better surrounding pieces? And then now him being at Tennessee, is this going to be a good situation? Like, is this situation similar to Washington State? Is it similar to Miami? Or does it not matter at all? Right. And so all of those different things, I think, is going to be fun, just because we have so much background and history of evaluating Cam Ward to kind of see what Cam Ward are we going to get, and it's a step up in competition overall. But DP, we have another guy to talk about. This guy, he was talked about being drafted in the first round. It didn't go to the 5th round. Mr. Shedeur Sanders. Yes, we're going to talk about his current status at training camp. Does he have a shot to be QB1 at all? Let's talk about Shedeur Sanders coming up next.
Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. And let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. Golf is all about good times with good people, but also good flavors, of course. The grape, ginger, lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. This code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with your friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. Shedeur Sanders, Keith, was once tied to the hip of his, I think it's his cousin, Cam Ward. And these guys, they played against each other in college. They are family members. They train and work out together and everything. And, you know, as Cam, it was that conversation for most of us was, one of these guys are going to be QB1. And it was one of them, but we expected the other one to be QB2.
QB2.
And while they were joint to the hip for a while, the NFL split them up by 4 rounds. And it was like, wow, okay, that's a turn. But nonetheless, in Cleveland, right, the whole Kenny Pickett, I don't know, I can't remember if it was a lower leg injury. They say he's probably be out for a little bit. Not long, but out for a little bit. And with I continue to say this. Look at the status of Shedeur Sanders. He hasn't, you check the reports, he hasn't performed poorly at all in camp. Like, he's been good since he got there.
Yeah. I seen the tweet, DP, just to back up your statement. I think thus far with throws, I think thus far through throws, he was 36 of 48, so 75%, and had 5 touchdowns, I believe. So not just okay, he's doing good, right? Like that's right. Pretty good, yeah.
And that's really good. And then even during, like, you know, rookie mini camp to OTAs and everything, the constant was that he's protecting the ball, the ball placement's there, all the things that he does well have been there, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, you trust, you know, you say WTF, watch the tape. It's like, trust the tape. You know what I mean? Trust it. Trust what you see and know that those are things that will translate to the league. And I think for me, I'm looking at Cleveland and, okay, you didn't pick up Kenny Pickett's fifth-year option. All right, well, the trade seems pointless to me, but nonetheless, you didn't pick up his 5th-year option, so he's a free agent after the year. Joe Flacco, he knows his offense. He's been in this offense with with Cleveland before and everything. Kevin Stefanski, he knows how to run it. But if you watch the tape of him in Indianapolis last year, he was not good. Like, he was not good with the Colts last year. And the Colts honestly have better weapons than the Cleveland Browns have right now at receiver, stuff like that. So they have a better run game, you know what I mean? A more proven run game with Jonathan Taylor compared to, well, Quinshawn has the off the field situation right now, the legal issue that he's trying to work through. Dylan Sampson is a smaller change of pace scat back, and Jerome Ford. Like, to me, you need to make up your mind of what you want to do and what you want to be. And I think Shedeur, who hasn't really gotten a ton of first team offense reps, or I don't know if he's taking a snap with the first team offense. To me, Keith, he should be. Like, I know that you drafted Dylan Gable back in the 3rd round. Cool. I understand it, right? I'll consistently beat this until the horse is dead and until I see change. One of these 2 guys need to be your starter. Like, I know you want to try and win and everything, but you got 2 first-round picks in 2026 with a more talented quarterback class coming into the draft. I need to know what I have. Ask the Falcons right now if they would have done the whole Mariota Ritter thing over again and gave Ritter 10 games instead of 4 and walked into the 2023 draft with Bryce and CJ.
Yep.
The 2023 draft and say, you know what? Maybe we need to be aggressive and try to get up, you know what I mean, and go get the quarterback that we need, right? Like maybe we go do that and stuff like that. So I think Shedeur should be getting first team reps with the Browns, like with that Browns offense, throwing to Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, David Njoku. If he has those numbers with the backups, guys who probably won't even play this year, right? Practice squad. Well, what is it going to look like when he's catching from guys who are Pro Bowl caliber receivers?
Yeah, no, definitely. And this is part of the problem for those, you know, who listen to us throughout the draft and our post-draft synopsis, right? I talked about how this is insane from a roster management perspective. And this is because you only get so many reps, right? It's not that you can stay out there for 6 hours and make sure everybody gets, you know, get equal amount of reps to figure this thing out. You only have so many amount of reps. And then also, DP, training camp is not only used to figure out who's going to make your team, who's not, right? But there are some fundamental things that you're putting in that are going to be key components of your offense, right? And you need to know that whatever quarterback you pick can operate that. And also you're trying to pick the best one to operate that, but you're trying to do that with a limited amount of reps, trying to give everybody reps, right? It's very difficult to kind of work through that process. So Shedeur Sanders' status for me, I would say I agree with you that he needs first team reps, right? And then secondly, where this goes from here, DP, to be completely honest, I'm not 100% sure. Because we're already into this kind of week 2 of training camp. Next week starts preseason games, and so maybe we get more live bullets. But I'll say this, and this is not. I'm trying to make sure I say this the right way. That it's beneficial to Shedeur because of the Kenny Pickett injury, right? Because now there would have been another quarterback trying to split reps and trying to figure it out. So at least he has that component. But I think he's fighting an uphill battle, and looking at the reports from Dylan Gabriel, right? Like what people are saying about Dylan Gabriel is that Dylan is probably performing as we thought, like that he's a solid quarterback. He can make some things happen, right? So we don't foresee him playing just god-awful neither. So I think it's going to be a tough situation. I have a question. If you were either one of those guys, would your option be go ahead and let me go? Like, how would you want to handle this? How do you handle this? Because it's going to stay a conundrum. And we outlined this, right? Like, there's no good. You put yourself in a position where there's no good answer. Like, there's not a good answer.
No, Keith, it's crazy that you asked that, because I remember there was a report like maybe 2 weeks ago, I think 2-3 weeks ago, that that the Browns were kind of expected to trade one of these 4 quarterbacks, and I was like, you know what you could have done is not trade for Kenny Pickett. You could have just signed Joe Flacco, drafted one of these 2 guys or maybe both, and just see what you have from there. You know what I mean? Or you bring Kenny Pickett, but you only draft one of the rookies. So you only got 3 quarterbacks to figure this whole problem out with.
Yeah, and then the other part of that, DP, when you look at it, is that Kevin Stefanski might be on the hot seat, kinda. So you don't know if he's going to be there. Like, you don't know if the entire regime will be there next year. So all of these guys may still be gone, right? And then, like 100%. You said, because you talked about the draft next year, so it's head scratching. And when it happened, right, talking about post draft, we said it was head scratching, and now
still head scratching.
3 months later, still the same thing, right?
Still a problem. And I think, Keith, if I'm Shedeur, and Dylan, I look at the situation, I'm gonna stay put, because I believe that one of us is going to get on this field this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I agree. And I think that's what they should do. Like,
and this is what will probably happen. If one of them gets on the field, I feel like both of them will probably get on the field. Meaning that they're rookies, DP. So still in all, they're going to have bad moments and bad games.
Bad moments, yeah.
So what you're doing is you're setting them up for the fan base to root for the other guy, right? Because you put Dylan in. Dylan may have a bad 2-game stretch, and I think the Cleveland Browns schedule is crazy. If I can remember correctly, they have one hell of a schedule. So they're going to have bad games, right? Like the rookies having bad games, and then so now you put Dylan in, he has a couple bad games. Now everybody's cheering for Shedeur Sanders, and then now what do you do with Dylan because you possibly mentally, put him in a bad spot as a rookie.
I don't know who they pissed off
at the
league office. Yeah, I don't know who they pissed off at the league office, but man, that's tough. You start off with, you got 2 divisional games out the gate.
Yeah,
Cincy, and then you travel to. You know what, Joe Flacco? You start the first probably 6 to 7 games. You gonna start, big fella. We gonna let you just get it out the way. I will say this, Keith. If I'm Shedeur, I take, because he's done good against the first team defense with the 2s and 3s. That's why I keep coming back to the fact, give him some reps with the 1s against the 1s and see how it looks. But you don't want to do that because it creates more quarterback controversy and it bucks the plan because now those fans see him dotting I's and crossing T's. You're like, listen, we were trying to start Flacco or Pickett or whoever. I think what's going to happen, if I'm Shedeur, I go right into the preseason because you expect him to get more. Flacco's not going to play much in the preseason. You expect to see Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett if healthy, and Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur goes out there and cooks in preseason. Like the cheer from the fans and the way that they're going to call for his name when things get rocky, because with this schedule, it is going to get rocky. Like, you know what I mean? Cincy, Baltimore, Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota, Pittsburgh. That's the first 6 games. Brother, it's going to get rocky like the Titanic. You're going to hear these fans calling for Shedeur, and you're going to have to make that decision. But if I'm Shedeur, go into preseason, take care of your reps, handle your business, let the chips fall within me.
Yep, 100% with DP. Let's wrap this rookie conversation up with, we're going to Las Vegas, right? We're talking rookie wide receiver Dont'e Thornton, right? Should he be a starter in this new look Las Vegas Raiders offense? Let's talk about Dont'e Thornton coming up next.
Ever wish managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one single place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building the wealth you've longed for. Take control over your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDON-NFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Again, guys, take control over your finances with Monarch Money and use that code LOCKEDON-NFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDON-NFL for half off your first year. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday. Shout out for being our everydayers. Dont'e Thornton Jr., the 6'4", 200-pound wide receiver out of Tennessee. I think early in his career he was an Oregon Duck, and he transferred out to Tennessee and everything to the Josh Heupel offense. And I came on this pod, and I said he was my favorite developmental wide receiver in this class, because what you have is traits that you cannot coach into a guy. 4'3", 4'2" speed at 6'4", 6'5", could absolutely stretch the field, ball skills, and then he also is a really physical run blocker. The hands, everything is there. Now it's about, and it was to me, Keith, when I was watching Dont'e Thornton as a prospect, I said this is the perfect case of what someone is asked to do and not what they can do, right? Like that Tennessee offense isn't a route running heaven. It is not a haven for route running. We're going to put you to the sideline. It's all about schematics and spacing and different things like that. Now he's gotten to Las Vegas. They're saying that he's been taking, since I think OTAs, he's been taking reps with the ones as the X receiver in this group. You got Jacoby Myers, who's that Z slot hybrid that they move around. Jack Besh is getting worked into the ones as the outside guys. And then you probably look at if it holds firm, that Raiders offense, man, this offense is going to be a lot of fun to watch and really interesting to study. Eugenio at quarterback, Genty at running back, Brock Bowers at tight end, Myers at the slot, Jack Besh at the Z, and Dont'e Thornton Jr. at the X. And you're talking about with a guy like Geno Smith who can get the ball to all of those guys, including the running back. like this offense, like the AFC West, I'm sorry, is going to be a battleground with the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Broncos, who also made the playoffs. I think they had 3 teams in the playoffs last year. You know what I mean? And now you bring in the Raiders with this much improved situation. Guys, I'm telling you right now, keep your eye on Dont'e Thornton Jr. I think him being with the ones makes a lot of sense because the only guy who had his skill set is Trey Tucker. But Trey Tucker's like 5'9". You know what I mean? He's 5'9", maybe 5'10". Speed to take the top off, but he doesn't have the size and ball skills and physicality on top of the speed that Dont'e Thornton Jr. has, and he's showcasing better as a route runner as well. I am very much excited to see what this looks like in preseason because I think him and Jack Bech have both played enough in preseason. Keep your eye out on Dont'e Thornton Jr., guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna go here, DP, because I'm trying to, for the listeners, kind of give a perspective, right, of what you kind of think Dont'e Thornton could be or the trajectory of it. Because what he, like you said, he was drafted in the 4th round. I believe he was a 4th round pick, right? And I think your statement, and I thought it was a really good statement, that it's a case of what he can be, not what he was asked to do, right? And just because with the Jalen Hurts quote, right? Just because I didn't do it, don't mean I can't do it, right? And I think that's a classic case because I'm expecting Dont'e to unlock more things within his offense. It kind of reminded me of, this was like years and years ago, to where those Packers wide receivers kind of went under the radar draft wise, like the Jordy Nelsons and the Donald Drivers and the James Jones. And then you look up and was like, man, these are kind of complete wide receivers, right? And I'm not comparing him like stylistically and saying that he's like that. But what I'm saying is, and I don't know if you felt the same way during that period of time, was like, where did they find him? Right? Like it was one of those things. And these were all, wide receivers with good size on them, but they were complete guys, right? Like they did everything. And that's how I feel Dont'e could potentially operate as. And like you said, talking about the X, and you're talking about having a Brock Bowers out there already, right? And him rocking and rolling. Then you talked about Trey Tucker and Jack Bech. He's different from all of those guys. And when you look at the ceiling, because of the athletic ability combined with the size, you can very well see him carving out a role as an X wide receiver in this offense. So definitely somebody to pay attention to that can really be an impact guy early on.
And Keith, and the thing about it as well is, like, I always go back to this tweet and the fact of the full list of 6'4" receivers or taller that ran 4.35 or faster at the NFL Combine: DK Metcalf, Calvin Johnson, and Dont'e Thornton Jr. It's only 3 guys. It's those 3. And then not only that, it's the fact of thinking about what we saw from Brian Thomas Jr. last year, similar height, body type.
I was about to mention him too. Yep.
Athletic profiles, things like that. But going back to Geno Smith when he was with Seattle, the deep ball that he will uncork time and time again to DK Metcalf to really take the top off that defense. And they having all those other like underneath threats. Like Brock is an explosive, vertical threat himself, up the seams from the slot, stuff like that. But Jacoby Myers going to live in the short to intermediate. Right, Jack Bech is going to be that short to intermediate, just power receiver, possession receiver, and everything. Dont'e is that guy who's going to be able to take the top off, and he's been, again, the reports have been glowing for him. He's been connecting with Geno a lot with the ones, so I think he's probably this whole firm. We're going to see him out there when that first Raiders game kicks off, week 1, and they break the huddle or that first team offense come on the field. You're probably going to see Dont'e Thornton Jr. number 10 out there looking like Martavis Bryant, because Martavis wore number 10 with the Raiders with the locks flowing out the back of his helmet. It's going to look similar, but that was an older version of Martavis Bryant or a not so healthy version. I'll put it like that. And for me, man, listen, Keith, I am all in on Dont'e Thornton Jr. in this Raiders offense and the role he can play. I think he can have a really big year for them if they give him primary targets. Brock, I think, should be number 1 target, but I could see Dont'e being a high, maybe 2A, 2B with Jacoby Myers.
Yep, I agree with that 100% with DP. That wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at the Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. On tomorrow's show, we are going to talk about R.J. Harvey and how he's been impressing head coach Sean Payton with those Denver Broncos. Could he be their starting running back week 1? We'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.